Hi guys, members of the Conservative Party, including MPs and ex-MPs, seem to believe that if they constantly talk about immigration and attack the government over it, it will help their party. When in reality, all it will do is push more people in the direction of Nigel Farage. Now, Kevin Foster, a former immigration minister, appeared on the Ben Kentish show where he was, well, it seems he was telling fibs, and perhaps this is his attempt to present his credentials to Nigel Farage before he defects to reform. Have a listen.
Well, there is a debate to be had about who do we offer asylum to, not least when there's evidence people are granted asylum status here for not that long and actually take a holiday back in the country they're apparently fleeing. Now,
okay, this is where quality journalism comes in, and a journalist should ask the question, what evidence? When a Tory MP or ex-MP or member of the Conservative Party mentions evidence, you should automatically stop them and say, what evidence? Because this is what they do all the time. What evidence is there that people return to their home country on holiday while their claim is being processed for asylum, or while they're in the refugee status system? I can't find any evidence. Maybe this guy is going off Facebook posts, or he's going off articles from the Daily Mail. But I can't find any evidence. It's actually the contrary. It's extremely difficult to do something like that. Because when you're in the refugee status system or when you're claiming asylum, you're blocked. You can't move. In order to leave, you would need to have a passport. You would need to have the proper paperwork to return to the home country, and then to return again. So you would need permission from the Home Office, because because if you arrived by an irregular route and you didn't have any paperwork, you would have to get paperwork from the Home Office in order to return to your home country, and then of course that paperwork would have to be valid in order to return back to Britain. He's talking nonsense here. I can't find any evidence to support this claim that people are going back on holiday.
Those of us with any knowledge of the history of international law will know that no one fleeing Nazi Germany would have taken a holiday back to it, having been granted refugee status.
Of course not. It's illogical to think that somebody would do that. So if you're suggesting something illogical, something irrational, then you need to present evidence to support the claim. But he's not doing that. He's just throwing out claims saying, well, people are going back on holiday. We have evidence that people are going back on holiday. Can we see the evidence? No, it goes to a different school.
In another country. And we're not talking people who perhaps were granted refugee status decades ago from parts of the former Yugoslavia that have moved on dramatically since the times when we would have granted asylum from them. So there is evidence that the system is being gamed quite significantly by those who could have claimed sanctuary in quite a number of safe countries on their way, having abandoned their family to do so.
Yes, but there'll be a lot of people who aren't gaming it, who have genuinely come here from persecution at the hands of the Taliban or the IRGC or the Syrian civil war, wherever it may be. Everyone agrees, I think, on the need to do more to stop the boats coming here. Is there not a risk that in doing so, we are losing quite a lot of our humanity as a country?
We're not an...
Don't ask Conservative MPs or ex-MPs about humanity. You know, these are the same people who presided over an austerity program that killed about 300,000 people. So don't bring up the issue of humanity with them. They don't have any humanity.
Ungenerous country. You look at the response there was to the Ukrainian situation, where many people offered their own houses up. And of course, the key with that was accommodation matched with visa meant you could do more than requiring on the state.
Okay, there are a few things to have to say about the Ukrainian one. I believe Kevin Foster was somebody who suggested that Ukrainians should be forced to work in the fields picking fruit and vegetables because of Brexit. Okay, we have a shortage of workers. Let's get the Ukrainian refugees to work in the fields, to earn their keep or something like that. But also when it came to Ukrainian refugees, there was a safe route. They didn't have to cross the channel in small boats. If you create a safe route, then people can come in. When it came to housing refugees in people's homes, the Home Office at the time was not all that helpful. They didn't make it easy. People had to move mountains in many cases in order to get refugees into their homes. It demonstrated that people were willing to open their homes to refugees, and people would be willing to open their home to refugees from other countries as well. But if they're not able to come in via a safe route, then it's very difficult to provide this type of accommodation to people. You can't just go to the local detention centre or ex-hotel housing asylum seekers and say, hey, I'd like to take some of these people into my home. It doesn't work like that. Even though some people on the right are suggesting that, oh, you should just take in some refugees yourself or asylum seekers. It doesn't really work like that. There has to be a system in place. But the Conservatives, at the end of the day, think, oh, well, if we attack the government on immigration, it's going to convince people to vote for us. No. People associate the Conservative Party with failure on so many policies, including immigration. But perhaps this is a pitch to Reform UK, excuse me, by Kevin Foster, because I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. I'll see you in the next video.